Welcome to the AI Hustle Podcast, the podcast where we break down the latest in AI news, tools, and interview experts helping you hustle and do more using AI. If you've been following the podcast for a while, you'll know that over the last 6 months, I've been working on a stealth AI startup. Of the hundreds of projects I've covered, this is the one that I believe has the greatest potential. So today I'm excited to announce AIBox. AIBox is a no-code AI app building platform paired with the App Store for AI that lets you monetize your AI tools. The platform lets you build apps by linking together AI models like ChatGPT, Midjourney, and 11 Labs. Eventually, we'll integrate with software like Gmail, Trello, and Salesforce, so you can use AI to automate every function in your organization. To get notified when we launch and be one of the first to build on the platform, you can join the waitlist at aibox.ai. The link is in the show notes. We are currently raising a seed round of funding. If you're an investor that is focused on disruptive tech, I'd love to tell you more about the platform. You can reach out to me at jaden@aibox.ai. I'll leave that email in the show notes. The first thing I want to say here is Anthropic, of course, this is the AI company established by former OpenAI staff, and it has unveiled Claude Pro. So this is its first consumer-centric subscription plan for Claude 2, which is a text analyst chatbot. And this is priced, very interestingly, at $20 a month US or £18 in the UK. And the plan offers quintuple the usage of its free version and the availability to send significantly more messages and priority access during high traffic periods, along with early exposure to new features. So the thing that's interesting here, right, is $20 a month. This is the same price point as ChatGPT for when you get GPT-4 Pro. And so it's interesting, right? They're not discounting themselves. They're not saying like, hey, we're a knockoff. They're saying, look, we're just as good as them. So I think that pricing point is really good. They can't go higher, right? Because ChatGPT and GPT-4 obviously is like the premier, most popular tool. So you can't go more expensive than that unless you're doing enterprise. But for consumers, I wouldn't go more expensive. But if you go less expensive, then you seem like, you know, you're a knockoff. You can't quite do as much. So I think smart move on their part, putting it at the same price point. So the thing I will say about it is you can do 4 times the usage of its free version, like based off of what you can use. This is a great move. And for those that don't know, Claude 2, one of its main selling points is the fact that you can upload massive, like super long, it has a really big context window, so you can upload super long prompts. AKA, you can give it an entire document and say, hey, based off of this document, you can upload a PDF based off of this PDF. And then you ask it questions about it. I've seen people upload like little, like small books and ask it questions about the book in the PDF, and it will give them an answer. I, for one, use it when ChatGPT's context window is not big enough, right? So typically it's going to be like, I will post like 3 or 4 news articles in there and be like, hey, like, tell me like, 5 interesting things where you're like consolidating, like give me 5 bullet points based off of these, 4 different news articles about X, Y, and Z topic. And ChatGPT is like, hey, your question's too long. So I post it into Claude and I'll usually get a great response out of it. So that's typically when I use it. And that's one of the biggest like features from it. Otherwise, the quality of it, I've heard different people, like in our Facebook group, have had different people say like, oh, Claude is better at X, Y, and Z. And then like I've actually had some people that say they just switched to exclusively using that. Personally, I feel like, I still personally like GPT-4 a little bit more on most things. I guess maybe it depends on what you're specifically using it for. But when I need something long, ChatGPT doesn't do it. So that's where I'm going to go. I think interestingly, the price point is, coming. Obviously, it's the same as ChatGPT, but since its inception in July, Claude has gained attention for a lot of its advanced features. Anthropic noted in a blog post saying, quote, since launch in July, users tell us they've chosen Claude as their day-to-day AI assistant for its longer context windows, faster outputs, complex reasoning capabilities, and more. The company also kind of mentioned that Claude Pro would enable subscribers to make use of the chatbot's advanced model 5 times more than what is available on the free tier, like I mentioned, right? And addressing why there are limits on messages, Anthropic clarified that the substantial computational requirements to run Claude 2 pretty much mandated these restrictions. So users can send up to 100 messages every 8 hours, which is a boost from the 50 messages per 3-hour limit that you're going to find with, ChatGPT Plus subscribers, which I am a ChatGPT Plus subscriber. So, they also specify, quote, A model as capable as Claude 2 takes a lot of powerful computers to run, especially when responding to large attachments and long conversations. We set these limits to ensure Claude can be made available to many people to try for free while allowing power users to integrate Claude into their daily workflows. So running AI chatbots obviously is not a trivial financial endeavor. This is incredibly expensive. OpenAI once reportedly shelled out, I think, around $700,000 daily to maintain ChatGPT. And this, amounts to around $21 million a month. So obviously message limits in Claude Pro can be reached kind of quickly, especially if the conversation includes substantial attachments. So for instance, if a user uploads the complete text of The Great Gatsby, they'd find their ability to send messages capped at roughly 20 for the subsequent 8-hour period. So this is because Claude 2 revisits the entire conversation, including attachments with each new message, right? So it's actually looking at all the previous conversations, everything previously on there. And if you're putting something as long as like the text of an entire book in there, it's definitely going to use more. So Anthropic definitely has, I think, some broader aspirations targeting the development of a next generation algorithm aimed at AI self-teaching. And this was actually revealed in their recent investor pitch deck. So the ultimate goal is to kind of craft visual virtual assistants capable of a range of tasks, including email management, research, and creative output, among a bunch of other functionalities. Very, very interesting, right? And since its launch in 2021, it was spearheaded originally by OpenAI VP of Research Dario Armedi, but Anthropic has gained over $1.4 billion in funding at a valuation in the single-digit billions. So obviously a very impressive figure, but it's still far from their estimated $5 billion that they need over the next 2 years to realize their vision for AI. So that's what Anthropic's saying. They're saying if we really want to hit our vision for AI, do what we would like to do, we're going to need $5 billion over the next 2 years, which is a fairly big ask. But I mean, it's not that out of the question considering Microsoft gave OpenAI over $10 billion. So, that's still half of what OpenAI has already done, and they have a couple years to kind of get this done. So assuming they get mass adoption and they do some really impressive things, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be able to get to that number. So revenue from offerings like Claude Pro is slated to kind of fund computational capacity. The company's roadmap indicates a reliance on, quote, tens of thousands of GPUs to train its models, which is essentially earmarking, I think, nearly $1 billion for infrastructure spending within the next 18 months. So while Anthropic definitely enjoys the patronage of thousands of customers and partners, including a subscription-based generative AI app from Quora that offers Claude 2 and its less, I guess, powerful kind of counterpart, Claude Instant, which is just faster. That's kind of why you'd use that. It still has some pretty stiff competition. So for those that don't know, you can go to po.com. That is a platform that Quora owns, and you can try out Claude today for free. That's typically how I use it when I need it for one-off things. If it ever comes to the point where I'm needing to do, very frequently analyze large documents, then I probably just get a subscription to it. It's kind of a no-brainer. It's really good. I would assume if ChatGPT or GPT-4 improves the quality a bit and it comes up with larger context windows, then maybe that kills Claude. I don't know. I do really like having multiple options in the arena, right? I always hate having one player in the space that completely dominates. Then you get to sort of a monopoly thing, and a lot of times the quality of the products suffer. So I think there are a bunch of other competitors in the field. You have Cohere, you have AI21 Labs, of course, OpenAI is huge. And I think that what's really interesting is OpenAI actually anticipates to generate $1 billion in revenue next year. So obviously big players in the space making big moves, but I think Anthropic has a really bright future, and I'm excited to follow along on their journey. If you are looking for an innovative and creative community of people using ChatGPT, you need to join our ChatGPT creators community. I'll drop a link in the description to this podcast. We'd love to see you there, where we share tips and tricks of what is working in ChatGPT. It's a lot easier than a podcast, as you can see screenshots, you can share and comment on things that are currently working. So if this sounds interesting to you, check out the link in the comment. We'd love to have you in the community. Thanks for tuning in to the AI Hustle podcast. If you could do us a massive favor, we would really, really appreciate it if you could leave us a review wherever you get your podcast. This helps people find the podcast. It helps people know this is a good place to go. And we would really, really appreciate it as it helps us continue to bring on incredible guests and share incredible content for you to listen to.